Hello everybody, my name's James, welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 12 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live, it is 10:04 AM, we are 56 minutes away from the Gameweek 12 FPL Deadline. And between now and the 11 AM deadline, I'll be trying to answer as many of the YouTube community's FPL dilemmas as possible. Firstly though, heads up, benching dilemmas, I can just see already there's going to be a million questions on shall I start, and a lot of the answers are on screen. Please have a look at the benching dilemmas, it is below me. Pages 1 to 4 outfield players, they run in order left to right. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start of the two. You will also see some goalkeeper dilemmas on page 5. You can see all my predicted lineups on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. To the left, you'll see my correct score predictions for all the games and preference for captaincy. It is Haaland, Salah, Isak, Palmer, top 4 for me in that order. I would not be selling Erling Haaland for anything this week, with Tottenham having no Romero and Mickey van der Ven. Right at the bottom of the ticker, you will see flag players and upcoming fixtures for every club. And top right, you'll see my team as it stands. -4 has been made. Trent Alexander-Arnold is gone. Dominic Solanke is gone. You knew I was going to buy Alexander Isak. I have decided between Timber, Saliba and Joachim Andersen that the answer was Lewis Hall. And just to briefly explain that, because I kind of said I was overlooking at it, primarily because if I went cheap, I needed a 4.3 defender. I had a look at some different paths last night, and I don't necessarily need to go 4.3 defender. The clincher here is probably me sticking with Larsson rather than buying João Pedro. It's not to say that I won't buy João Pedro, but if I don't make that move next week and roll, my paths to Saka/Watkins in game week 14 actually become quite easy if I remove Garnacho or Porro. I have 2.5 million in the bank. I am captain Mo Salah this week, which is, I think, fairly obvious as I don't own Erling Haaland. But yeah, Haaland is the preference for captaincy. For our patrons watching live, as per usual, if we've got any kind of team leaks going around, any confirmed news, please double check sources. Please drop me a tag on Slack so I can share with the community. I am aware of a little rumour going around this morning about Pedro Neto not being spotted in any of the Chelsea photographs. They are obviously the early kickoff. I don't suppose that's going to have too much bearing on people. I would imagine that if Neto is unavailable, then I guess Mudryk just plays on the left. Yeah, I would guess so. Or Jadon Sancho, one or the other, right? Should make Madueke pretty much a lock for today for those who do own. Right. Let's get into questions. Let's do this quick fire. Let's have fun. I will be ending the stream at 11 o'clock, by the way, today, guys, because I am off to the Etihad today. FPL Don says, hi, James. Is Solanke to Isak from -4 worth it against just playing Cunha this week and doing the move for free next week? I'd playing Cunha over Solanke this week anyway, mate. And would I make the move? Yeah, I kind of have. Although I did have the excuse that I needed to find money to fund the move. So the answer is going to be yes. Maito says, hi, James. Bench one of Semenyo, Bowen or Delap. At least I got some players there that aren't on the dilemmas. Semenyo, Bowen, Delap. Probably with reluctance, Jared Bowen. Burke says, hi, James. On wildcard, but not quite set yet. Which option do you prefer, given I also have Gabriel either way? 1. Bumo and Verbruggen and Kirkes. 2. Semenyo, Rea and Konate. Cheers. I kind of like the idea of still having Bumo for the next 2, just in case you really want to captain him next week. You might not feel that way now, but if he has a good day today, and then next week I'm to Leicester, he's potentially an option. That also holds placement nicely to go to Bowen, Gordon, Jota when the timing's right. So I prefer the Bumo path still. Sean says, hi, James. Who to bench from Nori, Lewis, Anderson and Mikalenko? With reluctance from that, probably Rico Lewis, because he's the only one that from that lot that I'm not convinced starts. He is not in my predicted Man City lineup. I think they'll probably move Manuel Kanji from centre back into midfield today. AC7 says, hi, James. -4 Boomer to Palmer. That's kind of contradictory based on what I just said, but I understand the appeal. From -4, I think probably no. Not unless you wanted to captain him. Probably no. Boomer's got Everton, Leicester next 2. Can that move be made in 14? Matthew Archer says, morning James, is it crazy to sell Porro instead of Trent this week if I only play Porro once in the next 3 before having to sell him? If Trent is back for 13-14, it will then save me a transfer. I have an inkling from what Arne Slot said yesterday that Trent might be back in midweek against Real Madrid. That said, Trent's got City in 13, Newcastle 14, Merseyside Derby 15. Porro might be more useful for you next week, and that's kind of the conclusion that I came to. Andy Max says, need to bench one of Rodgers, Welbeck, Cunha, Semenyo and Bumo. Help, Morgan Rogers. FPL Don says, would you rather have Semenyo and 3 of the Wish J, or Saka, 1 Wish J plus Cunha and João Pedro? Nothing wrong with having Cunha and João Pedro. The problem with having just one of that set is, if you want to move it, it becomes pretty difficult. Particularly, say, if you went, I'm going Solanke, right? How do you get to Watkins? I prefer the structure with 2 of them. I very nearly went Isak in for Larson last night, which would have given me 3. I prefer the structure with 2. It's my personal preference at the moment. Billy Taylor says, Wagwan J. Lins, Milenkovic and Mikolenko bench and currently starting Lewis. Shall I bring in Timber for one of the above from -4? I know how much you love hits for defenders, but this makes sense, right? No, not convinced that it does, actually. Timber is probably a 6-pointer. So anyone else that's got 2, like Mikolenko, is probably a 2-pointer today. I would just play Mikolenko, is my take on that. If you're in a position where, I don't like it, but if you're in a position, I don't know, where you've got like Konsa, who's out injured, you've got someone else, Jacob Greaves, for example, who's like massive doubt, and you've got Lewis, then I'd say yes, do it. Because there's every chance you're looking at 0-pointers today. Under your circumstance, you've got players, Billy, it's a no from me. Gavin Richardson says, hey, babes, are wildcard transfers in and out, including in the current figures, or are they applied at game update? If latter, does that mean there could be significant price swings overnight? I have no idea, Gavin, but I tell you what I can tell you is that Ragaboli at Live FPL is doing some extraordinary work at the moment. In terms of actually giving explanations behind price changes and some of the model thinking. Now, it's not perfected yet. For example, on his model, he didn't have Trent Alexander-Arnold falling in price last night, but some of his predictions this week have been incredibly accurate. And he's explaining that he understands why, that despite the prediction that Trent wouldn't go down, that he did. So he's actually giving people an explanation behind his model and his thinking at the moment. I'm beginning to use him more and more in terms of price projections. If it wasn't for him, I'd have sold Trent earlier in the week probably, and I'm very grateful that I didn't, because I would have made a different choice to the one that I've made now. I'd be sitting there with Anderson in the team. So have a look at what Live FPL is doing. And to be honest, Gavin, I would tag him on Twitter or Blue Sky and ask him. And he should be able to give you an answer behind his thinking. He'll answer it much better than me. I have no clue, pal. Craig Gardner says, would you do Smith Rowe to Palmer for free? Have a few yellow flags, Boomer and Cole, who I need to play for full 11 as bench is non-existent, or better to wait a week? Not a great week to sell Emil Smith Rowe, I must say, but you will be ahead of the crowd in doing so, because the next 4 are pretty tough for Fulham, and you probably will want to move come next week. So you're upgrading to Palmer anyway. I think it's justified, so yeah, I would get it done, mate. Rao Free says, hi James, I have Watkins considering selling for Isak and going back in game week 14. Wildcard in 16, thoughts? No, I'd leave B. Palace are not at any form of strength. I do think Isak is a better call this week, but I've got Watkins 5th on my captaincy this week. No, I'd just stick with Ollie Watkins as we are, actually. Nick Edmonds says, morning James, am I mad benching Rao and BSL? Fuck's BSL? Oh, Strand Larson. In preference of playing Ray and Aitnori and Robinson, what alternative combination would you do? I'd definitely play those 2 attackers over those 2 defenders, mate. Like if that's the call, I'm going for a 0-0 here. No, I'd pick the attacking players. So the order of preference there would be Larson. Jimenez. I think Jimenez is kind of a wild captaincy option even this week. If you've got none of the big boys, I've got him on the top 10. Jimenez, then Larson, and then Robinson over Aitnori. That order. FPL Andy says, morning James, couple of last wildcard dilemmas. First, would you start with Saka or have Bruno as a placeholder until 14? I would chance it with Saka, personally. Second, Kepa or Verbruggen. Thanks, Verbruggen for me, my friend. My homie says, hey James, good luck this week. On wildcard, original plan was Bruno to Palmer, but now thinking keeping Bruno and getting Palmer in 14. Thoughts, I'm going Isak captain because West Ham are pants. Yeah, I don't mind that. And I'd sell him. I've been kind of against people chasing Bruno's points from last week when they don't know what Ruben Amorim is going to do. But I certainly wouldn't be selling, I think, if I had him in place at the moment. So, yeah, I don't mind that. I think you look on paper and you go, probably Bruno's next two is better than Palmer's next two. So, yeah. All you got to factor in is, obviously, if Palmer does do well today, then the surge is just going to continue from a price perspective. That's all. But, yeah, I probably would wait till 14, mate. And it's worth saying, to flag, I think there's a good chance that Cole Palmer won't start in game week 14. And he's probably the outstanding captaincy on paper that week. We'll have that conversation in a couple of weeks. Vivek Gore says, hi James, would you A, sell Trent for Dean to play him over Gabriel? Play any defender over Gabriel this week, mate. Literally, I don't think it'd be one. If you said, right, free hit this week, James, I think Gabriel would be the first defender I'd be picking, mate. Or B, roll and play Gabriel and Wood. Or C, if Dean is bought -4, whom to bench, Gabriel and Wood. I'd play Gabriel over Wood, mate. Honestly, we've had this with Gabriel where you remember earlier in the season things like City away and Tottenham away. I was saying, like, even those fixtures, particularly the Tottenham game, I was like, there's justification to play him here. It's worth saying Forest have improved massively in terms of defending set pieces, but I would definitely be playing Gabriel without question, mate. Dara Sam Maguire says, morning James, hope the fam are well. They are, thank you, mate. 2 free transfers, Trent to Vardiol or Trent and Jackson to Kanate and Isak. Yeah, it doesn't feel right selling Jackson, mate. I'm just going to leave that there. I can understand why people wouldn't buy at the moment on the 4 yellows, but I think that's even more reason to hold that most people aren't going there. Kenneth Faz says, Garnacho or Rodgers out for Palmer and Arnold out for Hall or Dean or Van Heck. I've gone Hall, but it's part in terms of what I need for coming weeks. You may need something different. I would at this moment, without the knowledge, just be binning Garnacho out of that choice. It could be great. I took that pump myself a couple of weeks ago. I'm now in a position where I know I suggested I'd start him, but it does feel like everybody thinks he won't start. That seems to be the opinions going round. And I'm looking at Larson. Like, Larson's probably 90 minutes near enough at Fulham. I'll just play him. That's the conclusion I come to. Like, he's not as sexy. It's the boring pick, but that's what I've decided to do. Because there's more probability of Larson going off, actually, because he's going to have the minutes. Garnacho does even feel like even if he starts, he'd probably be first player subbed. Like, to move Garnacho in that case. I think he's a non-buy at the moment. I can't believe people are still going there. If you look at the models, he's still being well invested in. I can't believe it, actually, at this moment. Rachel Caldicott says, do I start Rodgers or Smith Rowe? Smith Rowe, comfortable one, I think. He's top of the bench in dilemmas. Shriniket Kale says, hi James, I have Salah, Bruno, Bumo and Haaland, Solanke. Main dilemma is whether to get Palmer this week would be a -4. Haaland to Isak. No, I'm not told you I wouldn't sell Haaland for free this week. Never mind for a hit, mate. He's the best captaincy playing against Ben Davies and Radu Dragusin. Sorry if people had their plans. I'm going to be very consistent in saying this. There will not be an answer here that says, yes, sell Haaland. And you know that I prefer the structure without him. But if you're sitting there with him, it's not to say anyone should buy him, by the way, because Mo's a great alternative for captaincy. But if you're sitting there with him, he's put the armband on him, get on with it, and move on next week. That's really my take. Gavin says, have a great week. You'll smash that like, and good luck at City later. Come you Spurs. Thank you, Gavin. Yeah, if you're watching live, people, smash a like, or actually even if you're watching on a replay, because that's the sort of thing you enjoy. And I know some people do enjoy watching the stream back on a Sunday or a Monday just to see all the shit that I got wrong. Smash a like, people. There's like barely 15% of you have done it. It costs absolutely nothing. I want to see them hearts going up the chat, please. DTAF says, morning James, I've been wanting to jump on the Haaland out bandwagon but haven't had the spare transfers. Now I like his fixtures. I still like the setup without. When's the best exit point? Next week. It's next week or not at all. I will repeat what I've said all through this week. I think Erling Haaland is the best captaincy in 3 of the next 4 weeks. What a differential. I'd be hitting this point now and I'd be thinking really strongly about not selling. Because so many people like me, I've obviously been cut off all the way, but so many people are cutting off. I'm aware of holding some options open, maybe even to maybe look at a -4 that'd get him in 14. It's not impossible. I have looked at that a little bit last night. It's not the plan, but if it suddenly looks bad from a captaincy perspective, he does look the best in that week. And I know Nottingham Forest, I'm not exactly a dream fixture anymore, but if Palmer didn't play at Southampton, he's clear. It's clear. Billy Taylor says, I heard a rumour that if you don't smash a like, your goalkeeper will score an own goal. Oh no, and be so infuriated by his mistake that he punches a fan and gets sent off. Huge if true. Wow. That's the big breaking news this morning. Chat out. Will Miller, Hillbilly, Vivek, Eddie R. Hope you're all well. Andrew Jarvis says, morning James, hope you're well. No question. Just to shout out Planet FPL Patreon. It's brilliant. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Jarvo. Well sold. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. I can tell you podcasts on Patreon this week will be Q&A. We've got Tottenham, we've got UCL Fantasy Preview, Money in Football and Leon, and our Game Week 13 Preview. Podcast available from Intermediate Plus tier on Patreon. You can support the show even for free if you want to have a look at our best bits. Doesn't cost you anything. 18-minute video. You can have a look at some of the stuff we do before you buy. So try before you buy. Richie says, hi James. For this week only, do you prefer Jackson and Van Dijk or Watkins and Timber? Planning to wildcard in 13 to offload the City and Liverpool assets only then. In terms of this week, Watkins and Timber would be the preference. Yeah. Alex Barrett says, bring in Watkins and Timber or Saliba and Isak. I've got a better answer for you there, Alex. Timber and Isak. That money might come in useful, mate. Rake says, hope you're well, James. How was Harry's birthday? Good, thank you, mate. Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago now. Bloody hell, 2 weeks ago already. It was good, other than the Tottenham result. Quick FPL question. Stick with Mikolenko and take 2 free transfers into Game Week 13 or replace with Hall or Kirkes. Boomer and Visser. Yeah, I could get that. Replace under your circumstance. Replace. I've gone Hall, so there's the preference. DTAF says, also, is triple Arsenal defence viable as a differential, and how soon would you consider making it happen? All the best for the game with pal. Thanks for the great content. I very nearly made it happen last night, mate. Very nearly. Very nearly. It was just going to block me off too many things. It wasn't just Saka and Havertz and Odegaard. It's obviously blocked off all Arsenal players, but it was also blocking me off that spending that more money versus, say, Hall was going to make life really difficult, not just for Saka for me, but possibly Watkins if I did want to get there. Didn't like that. I think it is viable. I really, really do. Really do. You just got to know you're cutting yourself off of any Arsenal attacking plan. That's the big thing. And I factor in things like kind of out the box thinking. It's like, well, if Cole Palmer got injured for me this weekend, what do I want to do with the money? Now, the instinct might be, so, well, just go and get Nkunku now. Is it João Felix plays instead? Do I want João Felix? No, it's like, if Palmer was to get injured, or even Salah, where's the first place I'm going? It's Saka. It's highly likely to be Saka. So I think, just considering these little factors in mind, it's a no for me at the moment. But is it viable? Yeah, absolutely. But I think the recommendation at the moment is 2. I think. Frederick Hertz says, cheers, thanks for the great content and vibes. I can go Adama to Saka and then start him over Vardy, but with Saka's flag, should I rather do the direct move Vardy to Pedro and save the Saka transfer? That's interesting. I think Pedro probably does start, but there's certainly no guarantee in that. There's no guarantee in Saka either. I will tell you the truth that I think he'll start. Clayton doesn't. I know Clayton has been trying to source for information and he's not had any joy. He'd say, tell me if he heard anything, but no, he's not going to get anything, I don't think. I think he'll play. He thinks there's a good chance that he won't. I'd go to Saka move, I think. I ain't got a chance it go that way first. Fred Jordan says, best 4.1 million or less defender, not Greaves. Keep up the good work. Darroche, please don't end up with 2 Ipswich defenders. Yeah, I mean, does it matter? Taylor Harwood Bellis has got awful fixtures over the next 4 or 5. Fass is 4.2, might dip to 4.1 soon. It's still within Ipswich, mate. Vandenberg, they're not keeping clean sheets. Fixtures getting tough soon. There's nothing there. Do you know what? I wouldn't even worry about it too much. I'd pick one that's decent for minutes. So but don't go O'Shea with Greaves. Go something different. Go Harwood Bellis. It's useless to you. The only thing I would say is like Greaves is close to fitness, and Ipswich's fixtures, while Southampton's are bad, Ipswich fixtures are pretty good. So you probably could get away with it for a while. It's all shit, mate. Josh Davis says, good morning, James. I also don't want Ange sacked, but if you had to pick one of Frank, Silva, Iriola to take over at Spurs, who would you choose? Love the content. Do I have to? I think Marco Silva is... I was reading about a major train disruption. It's in Ireland. Cheers, Addy. Good luck to anyone travelling in Ireland today. Good luck to me travelling to Manchester today. Silver. Could we just not? This really isn't a conversation as far as I'm concerned at the moment. Sam Emerson says, morning, James. What's your plans on Garnacho going forward? I have 8.8 million. I could replace him for a bit. I presume it's meant to be hit, but would be in effect starting over Rodgers this week. If you're sitting there with Palmer, just get it done, yeah. But Rodgers got a good fixture. I won't buy Palmer. Get it done, mate. Get it done. What's my plans with him? There's a couple of. I've obviously got the money in the bank. Particularly if I turn down the options for Watkins or Saka in future weeks, I can see me probably going Garnacho to Anthony Gordon. Actually, in the near future, maybe. Another option is to downgrade it. So if I go Garnacho to Semenyo, there you go. We go Bumo to Saka. That's it. That's what I said. I've got a couple of paths via sort of Porro, excuse me, or Garnacho to get one of those players in should I deem I want to in Gameweek 14. Or even next week for a hit. If that's what I require, it'll get done. Next up is Jerry Darmayu. Hello, Jimbo. Thoughts on Trent and Dominic Solanke and Wood to 1.5 plus 1.5 to Hall and Isak and Watkins for a -4, or maybe out. I quite like the -4. There's a lot going on there, Jerry, so I'm going to say I like the -4. FC Paul says, morning, James. I'm on 4 premiums from this week. Rest of the squad has the likes of 8, Norrie, Smith Rowe, Pedro, etc. I know you're big on structure, but do you think the strategy has any weight? Well, you've chosen it, mate, so let's hope so. I think it has any weight. I think it has a lot of weight. Some big weight. I don't like it. You know I'm going to say that anyway, right? But as ever, play it your way and very best of luck. Tiffany FPL Firefly says, worth a hit for Saka to Palmer and Trent to Hall or Kirkes. Thank you. I would just be leaving Saka there. I think he'll play, Tiffany. Vivek Gore says, hi, James. Loved your reel on Lewis from the last deadline. No one's asked me yet. Hope you get less annoyed today. Cheers. I'm sure it's only Tottenham will piss me off later today. If I happen to be looking away from the screen, I'm just double checking on some messages at the moment. As a reminder to our patrons, if we've got any info, particularly obviously on Chelsea's the early kickoff, let us know. For those who join in late, there is a little rumour going around of a doubt about Pedro Neto, but there's nothing further than that at the moment. That is only a rumour. Ryan Max says, hi, James. Hope your journey isn't too cold today. Apparently it's going to warm up significantly, but there's a storm coming and we're expecting a lot of rain. I mean, it never rains in Manchester anyway. The Mancunians will tell you that. Haaland and Johnson, no, I'm not even reading it, mate. Starting to get cold feet and Conser injury leaving me playing Porro this week. Ideas. I would not be selling Haaland this week. Best Conser replacement if you need to. I've gone Lewis Hall. Philip Sitzer says, hi, James. Thanks for the great content. Start Flappy or best goalkeeper in the Prem, Dean Henderson. Christ alive on a stick. Henderson. Menendez says, I'm 0.1 off DCL to Isak now. Would you do Brennan to Semenyo for -4 to make it work, or just wait a week? Lost track of price changes over the break. Actually, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, here you go, I'm going to say it. Dominic Calvert-Lewin will score today. Here you go. Who goes? You decide. Jody Pegler says, morning James, hope you're well. Would you start Aitnori or Rico Lewis this week? Thank you and good luck for this game week. This is such a pain with Rico Lewis, isn't it? I'd start Aitnori, mate. Rake says, smash the like button, you FPLers. Yes, mate, thank you. We up to about 25% of you smash the like now. Come on, guys, hit that button. Thank you, Hillbilly. Cheers, mate. Frederick Hertz says also, creds for the shout out on International Men's Day. It's so damn important that people with a large male audience focus on these things. You're very welcome, Frederick. I've got to be honest, though, that's all Nico's work. Truthfully, that video was completely unplanned. It was a short we posted earlier this week, and I wasn't aware of it, and Nico just started filming me. So, yeah, it was nice, but I've got to give Nico all the credit for that. Moth Troll says, thinking of doing Dibbling to Palmer, Son to Salah, Trent to Hall, then do I do Haaland to... Nah, all that start bit's fine, mate. Don't bother with the Haaland out stuff. Yeah. Guys, I will be consistent. That's the one thing you can't have me for. Hanny says, hi James, play Aitnori or Mikalenko. They're both on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Page 4 probably. Dory Angler says, good morning James, would you start João Pedro over Semenyo? They're also both on the bench in dilemmas. No. 9 Tank 7 says, bench Cunha or Foden. Good luck for the week. If I've got Phil Foden, I'm playing him, mate. Ollie Harris says, hi James, hope you and the family are well, pal. Would you start Kirkis or Vandenberg? Cheers, Kirkis, mate. Uros Milicevic says, hello James, 2 free transfers. Would you do Foden and Johnson for Palmer and Saka, or Foden and Wood for Palmer and Isak? Quite like the Foden and Wood for Palmer and Isak, mate. Heather says, hi James, started Wobie or Welbeck? I think we're going Welbeck, aren't we? Ter Okos Song says, would you do Dom to Isak or Roll? Yeah, get it done, mate. Odan says, hi James, hope you're well. Should I bring in Palmer and Havertz or Jackson for Haaland? No, keep Haaland. Big Chief says, hi James, who are your top 3 defenders for this upcoming fixture swing? Cheers. Hall, Colwell. On Colwell, by the way, one conclusion I came to, because obviously there was a strong case to go Colwell instead, and I could have. That 0.1 didn't make a difference for me. I came to the conclusion that after the next 2, and with just a little bit more Reece James information, I may want to go Gusto or Cucurella instead, and I don't think I've got enough information at this moment, excuse me. Whereas there wouldn't be an alternative I'd want to buy from Newcastle rather than Lewis Hall, so that was part of my decision. So right, let's go Hall now. It might be a different Chelsea decision in a couple of weeks, and that's the thing, because Colwell and Hall are both boring picks. Gusto could be really interesting. I just want a bit more Reece James information. But the closer we get to deadline, the more it's began to sound like, oh, okay, this could be a bigger problem. But I didn't want to dive in and find myself in is he going to play? Is he going to play kind of problem going into Christmas and their good fixtures? But yeah, I might be looking back at Malo Gusto in a couple of weeks, even if I have to pay a little bit extra for it. That's part of the thinking. If I was on wildcard, I'd possibly chance it, because you can make sure the other 4 is strong. So Hall, Chelsea defender. Julian Timber, I think, is now in the conversation. I think Jan-Paul Van Heck is the safest way to go for Brighton. For those who heard me talk about Stupinan earlier in the week, we don't really have clarity on Kadioglu's injury. I'm kind of a little bit spooked on that one at the moment. There's a few players for you, mate. Luca Dean, I understand, is getting a bit of popularity, and none of us have ever made that mistake before. Actually, I think it's a reasonable buy, particularly if you can bench in 13. Ross Cordingley says, play Watkins. Would you bench Cunha or Rogers? Rhino says, morning, is Johnson a long-term hold, or do you prefer punting someone like Mitoma or Eze when fit? I looked at a path of potentially buying Mitoma next week, and it just didn't feel quite right. I've got to be honest. I was a bit underwhelmed by it. Eze, I'd want to look at around about sort of game week 18, 19 or so. Just double glance at Palace fixture. Southampton at home 19. Johnson's got home fixtures 19, 20, so that doesn't feel like a right move to 21. He's a reasonable player to hold, mate. Like, he will get returns. I probably wouldn't be forcing that, is the honest truth. Gurev says, hi James. Brennan to Neto or play Semenyo? Well, based on a rumour going around, play Semenyo, mate. This might be good news for Saka. I'm just double checking a source here. There is a source which has been reshared by Daily Arsenal FC, who have a lot of followers. It's Con Harrison. I'm not too familiar in terms of his reliability. He's saying that Declan Rice is out for Arsenal today. There's no mention of Saka. You know, I'd probably go for the Saka headline if he was out. Make of that what you will, but that's being claimed at the moment. I don't know how reliable that source is, but it has been shared as well by one of my patrons, which is normally a good sign, that Declan Rice may be unavailable for Arsenal today. Suj, I can tell you, because he never copies my moves, has also bought Lewis Hall. He's bought Lewis Hall in for Pedro Porro. He's captaining Mo Salah. He's gone the 1 free transfer, so he's sticking with Solanke. He says Raya, Kanate, Odegaard, Isak, Havertz, João Pedro all on radar. He's also very interestingly he's got 2.5 million in the bank. He's decided not to take the hit for Solanke to Isak. Very interesting. I wish you luck, boss, if you're watching the Deadline stream. But I'd fucking take that hit, boy. You know what your team's like. Right, who's next? DTAF, in reference to triple Arsenal defence, am I right in suggesting Arsenal's attackers have low haul ability in comparison to the other options at their price points? No, not necessarily. If you look at like Saka's hauls this year, they've been like Wolves at home, Southampton at home, and then you look further down the line, you see like Everton at home, Ipswich at home in December. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily subscribe to that, mate. Paul H says, hi James, I'm on wildcard. Would you go Saka or Bruno? I could go Bruno for the next 2 and bring in Saka for Bruno in 2 weeks. I mean, selling Bruno for Saka when the 2 teams play each other just cannot go wrong in any way. I personally would be taking a chance of just going Saka now. Dan Mellor says, hi James, no free transfers, 3.4 in the bank. Would you take a hit swap Vardy to Isak or Bumo to Cole Palmer, or wait until next week? Yeah, Isak be going in, mate. Matthew North says, I want to bench boost while I'm rotating keepers. My current bench is Verbruggen, Vardiol, Solanke, Pedro. Strong. There's some heavy hitters on there, worth a punt. Cheers, mate. Oh, what's a bench boost now? No. That's not strong enough this week. You literally might find that just literally next week, that's going to look great, subject to what you're benching instead. But not now, no. Pranaya says, have Trent, Gabriel, Rico Lewis, Mikalenko, Greaves. Who to buy for Trent? Start Lewis or Mikalenko? I would start Mikalenko. I'd buy Lewis Hall. Spread the money. FPL Cockney Red says, mind you, have you got no Arsenal, have you? Buy Gabriel, mate. All day long, just buy Gabriel. If anyone's in that predicament who don't have Arsenal defence, I suggest that becomes a priority to just automatic. Oh no, you have got Gabriel. Sorry, I'm talking out my arse. Then yeah, Lewis Hall. FPL Cockney Reds, hi James, would you do Havertz to Isak from -4? No, that's absolutely fine having Kai Havertz at the moment. That's, you know, not a now move, mate. Not in my opinion. If you haven't got questions in yet, guys, probably wouldn't bother because there's no chance of me getting to you if you haven't submitted yet. There's a lot of you that I'm not going to get to and tell you that now. I am trying. I've lost my place in the questions, which is not good. Where are we? I'm going to find you somewhere soon. It's just right. Chris K, good morning James, hope you're well. Wildcard active pretty set. Have you put your Christmas tree up yet? Don't be silly, mate. Finley Scanner says, do Foden to Bruno instead of Saka and then switch Bruno to Saka after the next 2. I would just go Saka, it's my preference. Quabena says, will you do Saka to Palmer for a hit? Will I? No. Would I? No. Pete Haley says, hi James, got to bench one of Pedro, Smith Rowe, Raul Jimenez or Semenyo. Cheers buddy. Pedro reluctantly. Sam says, morning James, I'm on wildcard free transfers and decided to go for Bruno over Boomer. Last decision is Visser or Cunha for the next 2 game weeks, as would move to Cunha for 15, 17. Any thoughts? Yeah, I'd go Visser because he might be a captaincy option for you next week. J-Dog Broski says, morning James, safe journey today. I think the game will be a belter. No question. Hope you have a good day. Also went Hornisak for -4. Good luck, brother. Geo Trivia Test says, hi James, not sure you can answer this, but I'm just wondering whether you think there's a potential for any games being called off due to Storm Burr. Extremely unlikely, mate. Would only be if there's structural damage to a stadium. Extremely unlikely. It's a lot warmer today. Sandro Rebello says, hi James, start Pinnock or 8 Nori. Fulham surely score and Everton can't. I'd go 8 Nori, mate. I don't know if Brentford will keep a clean sheet all season, mate. Ter Ox Song says, why is Johnson lower than Strand Larson, Rodgers and Dom in your view? Because I think you fucking do fuck all today, mate. There's the answer, mate. I think he was going to spend a lot of his day chasing around Josko Vardiol, mate. Bjorn Petterson says, do you really think Dallo is going to play? Yeah, I think Dallo and Mats Rowe be the wing backs, mate. Tom Meds, hello mate, says, morning James, enjoy your trip up to Manchester. Keep Foden one more week or move to Saka or Bruno for free. I mean, if Saka doesn't play, that looks brutal, doesn't it? But yeah, I would. I think Foden plays. Personally. But I know there's plenty of others who don't. You'll definitely want to make that move next week. Make it Foden to Saka for me, mate. Dan, the FPL Way, says, good morning, James. I hope you're well, mate. What do you think about selling Haaland? No, next question. Dan Bianciani says, hi, mate. Start Semenyo or Rodgers and Dean or 8 Nori. So Semenyo and then Dean. Richard Matthews, bench 1. Foden, Cunha, Vissa or João Pedro. João Pedro again. Balstef says, start Vardiol or Nori. Vardiol. Atitia says, hi, James. Morning, Timber or Gabriel and wildcard. Gabriel. Rowan's got 4.3 in the bank. Well done, mate. Shiv says, bench Semenyo, Rodgers or Isak. Rodgers, bruv. Or miss. Martin says, hi, James. Start Rodgers or João Pedro. Oh, João Pedro. Just about. Brunton says, hi, James. Punt on switching J. Brilliant. Great. I love it. It's amazing. Sam Streak says, hey, James. Good luck as a Spurs fan. Who would you start this week, Solanke or Johnson? Good luck, Solanke by a mile. Mohammed Faris Rosley says, Sells or Fabianski this week, please. Sells are on the bench in dilemma. Right at the bottom, obviously. Odin says, -4 to bring out Lewis. Not unless you've got no one playing available on the bench, mate. No. Greg Frost says, Raul 2, question in 13. Pedro, yeah, how minutes to Pedro next week. Then Bumo and Virginia to Semenyo and Raya in 14. Yeah, sure, mate. Joey, would you start McNeil or Rodgers? McNeil. Motta says, bro, Bumo's a forward, let him go. All right, cheers, bro. Brunson says, hi, James. A punt on switching Brennan Johnson to Madueke or Solanke to Jackson. Here's the problem with Jackson, right? And I probably prefer that move, just way prefer Jackson over Madueke. How regrettable is that if Jackson gets booked today? That's the problem. That's why I'm saying for people like me with him, just keep now, because he's so off-putting for so many others. I don't know if I'd do it, mate. I don't know if I'd do it. I don't think I would. I don't think I'd do either. Jay Barker says, morning, James. Would you transfer either Porro to Timbo or Fast to Cowell to play one of them two and roll the transfer to have 2 frees next week? Probably go Fast as I'm captain Haaland. I'm trying to... why not go Porro to Timbo then? I mean, look, if Trent hadn't got injured, I'd have been selling Porro this week. Clear as day. It would have been the same thing. I'd just been going Porro to Hall. I'd be benching 8 Norrie. Trent would be starting. He was on the chopping block to go, mate. So Porro to Timber there, mate. Pranaya, Solanke versus Brennan. Who'd keep long term? Dom. Piers McBride says, good morning, James. Stellar work as always on the 5th anniversary of Pochettino's dismissal. How do you view his legacy and what do you see at the club today that links directly back to him? Would I see at the club today that links back to him? Not a lot. What's his legacy? Best Tottenham manager of the last 30 years or so, mate. That's his legacy. Achieved remarkable things. We didn't win nothing. I don't care. He took that football club from an absolute mess to a Champions League final. Remarkable. Craig Tippin says, hello, James. Butters says, the board one. Let's fucking go. FPL Joe says, hi, James. Bench one of them. Dyer or Bowen. Thanks. I'd probably play on Dyer this week. Callum McEwen says, morning, James. Can you talk me out of Calafiori for the Steeble over Saliba Timber? Seems like the upside is there. Depends who you're asking, Callum. You asked Clayton. He'd go, yeah, it's there. I'm not convinced personally. Not convinced. He's had injury problems this season. Not convinced. I also think like the underlying is showing up quite well for him, but there's one game, it might have been Leicester at home, where his XG is massive and really skews it. I'm not convinced personally. Andrew Peake, play Porro or Lewis. I didn't even put Porro on the bench in dilemmas. That's how worthwhile I think he is this week. I'd chance that Lewis might play. Rob McIntosh says, hi James, bench DCO or Solanke. Yes, mate. I'd bench Solanke. Aru Bala says start Hoyland or Cunha. Thanks, Dylan. I'd start Cunha. I think there's every chance that Hoyland might not start for United. Janko says, hi, James, selling Brennan. Best replacements out of Smith Rowe, Matoma, Gordon. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, Smith Rowe great this week, but then regrettable. Anthony Gordon by a distance out of them three at this moment. FPL Clary, hello my friend, says, hey James, Johnson and Vardy to Palmer and Hall for free. Will give you no reason not to do that, sweetheart. Stephen Brown says, good morning James, looking at Ray and 8 Nori or Lewis and to Pedro, Wood and Rogers. Fuck mate. Looking at Ray and 8 Nuri or Lewis and to Pedro, Wood and Rogers. What are you saying, mate? You've got 2 forwards there, 1 midfielder and 2 defenders. What am I... Is it meant to be start 2? Pedro and Rogers, if that's the question. Rowan says, is McNeil a trade out this week or save trade for Rico Lewis? Dwight McNeil very decent for this week, mate. Eddie says, brought in Calafiori last night, blaming Clayton's vibes if it doesn't work out. Exactly. Jay Lee says, Vandenberg or Lewis, Johnson or McNeil. McNeil. The Lewis one's just shit, mate. You play Vandenberg. So fucking crap on it. Information on a pitch inspection, by the way, at Blackburn Rovers today. Pitch inspection will take place at 11 a.m. ahead of today's encounter against Portsmouth at Ewood Park. That's at 11 a.m. I'm pretty sure Premier League games will be safe. Drainage systems much better and stronger. Blackburn have not had any Premier League investment for some time. Who's that? Just a heads up for some of my patrons who have shared a source. I have that source muted, so I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not convinced. Listen, it's hardly the source has said Cole Palmer starts. I'm sure he does anyways. Trains since bloody Tuesday. Like, why wouldn't he? Like, hero fucking worship. I think that source is not reliable based on something historical. There will be a reason why I have that source muted. Johnny VDM, morning James, would you start Visser or Rogers? Oh, Visser, yeah. Dan the FPL Way says, good morning James, I hope you're well, mate. What do you think about selling Haaland? No, next. Mina Savlaki says, that's such a great name. Hey James, FPL Sexy here. What's happening? It's just spreading the love. Your Patreon fixture ticker made me buy a wallet just to keep a copy of it where my license is supposed to go. Hope the family's healthy. Bless you, mate. You can get access to my spreadsheet planner, which has pages and pages from Basic Plus tier on Patreon via our Slack community. Daniel Burton says, Strand Larson to Isak for a hit. Yeah, I'd be quite tempted to do that. Again, just trying to keep an eye on any messages that might be coming in relation to team news. Nothing reliable I've got at the moment. Next up is Hayden says 8 Norrie or Lewis Hall on wildcard. Lewis Hall. Kieran Singh says, hi James, Palmer, Salah or Haaland for captaincy. I've been pretty clear, mate. Good luck. AAA says Foden, DCL, McNeil and Concert to Palmer, Rogers, O'Shea and Lancashire. Please don't waste the Tottenham space on Will Lancashire, mate. I get it. You don't want free Tottenham now. Don't waste that. No. Gareth Payton says, would you consider Foden's Palmer for a hit? Probably not. No. Free, yes. Homegrown FPL, morning James, play one of Semenyo, Bumo or Solanke. I'd be playing Bumo, mate. One of Vandenbeek. I mean Vandenberg or Lewis. Yeah, it's fucking hell. That's just so shit, man. I'm so not high on Brentford defensively. Sorry. I've already answered it. I can't bother to do it again. Charlotte Frost is Johnson or Rogers. Who to bench? Should be benching Johnson, mate. Kilman Good says Haaland, Saka and Semenyo. No, not selling Haaland. FPL Hitman. Hi James, bench one of Rogers, Smith Rowe, Wood. Cheers, Wood for me. Getty says start two of Visser, Cunha, Vardiol and Rogers. I'd be starting Vardiol and Visser. Martin says, hi James, bench one of Vissa, Cunha or Raul Jimenez. That's a fun. Cunha, reluctantly. Martin Hewitt says, morning James, apologies for the benching dilemma, but couldn't see big Rasmus on there. Bench Solanke or Hoyland, best of luck. I think I'd play Solanke. It's there's a lot of noises that Hoyland may not start. Let's be honest, he's not massively reliable for returns anyway, is he? Ryan Kettlestring says, morning James, safe journey to Manchester, mate. Bench one, Mikolenko or Collins. Bench Collins. Another Hoops says, hey mate, would you start Raul or Cunha? Raul, best of luck, you too. Zachary Wright says, best defender to buy for 4.6 and under. Already got Hall and 8 Norrie and Chelsea defence. That's covering a few up, isn't it? Van Heck or Kirkes. Steve Rick says, would you pick Smith Rowe over Rodgers? Yeah. Even though Rodgers has signed a new deal and will probably smash it this week. Listen, Steve, it's James Maddison's birthday. Take hits for him, mate. Camrul says, Garnacho or Vissa? Do you know what? Someone's going to say that. Literally, don't take a hit for James Maddison, please. Camrul says, Garnacho or Vissa? Who does play? Vissa. Nayert says, bench Raul, Rodgers or Cunha? Rodgers. Broad Christian Melanzo. Top of the morning, Sir James. Solanke to Isak, Foden to Saka, or both from -4. Solanke to Isak, 3 and Brave. LUFCC took a -8 hit and now I'm so angry I did. Well, sorry, mate. Grant Shadowman says, g'day James from Perth, Western Australia. All the best and may your arrows be green, mate. And to you too, Grant. King of Mandalore says, last week I asked you João Pedro versus Rodgers. You said bench João Pedro. I disagreed and bench Rodgers. Now you prefer to bench Rodgers. Nice. Can I ask what changed? Yeah, João Pedro came back from injury, had a storm in 20 minutes and I think he starts now. Listen, let me tell you something honestly. If you factor whether something is right based on the outcome rather than the decision, you will never do really well at this game. Rodgers over João Pedro last week, I can't even remember who Rodgers played. Liverpool away. Yeah, I mean, even still, it's probably still the right decision because we had no idea how much João Pedro would or wouldn't play. He came in as a sub against Man City, mate. Oh, but he hauled off the bench. Yeah, we all saw that coming, didn't we? No, honestly, if you focus on outcomes, you got no chance, mate. Chris Randall says, is it worth consideration to triple captain Haaland this week? In seriousness, no. No. There'll be better opportunities than that, mate, and some of them are in December, not that far away. FPL Bruno 18, morning Gaffer on wildcard 12. Is Semenyo the better option over Rodgers and Smith Rowe? And would you hold Vissa or sell? I'd be holding Rodgers. I mean, I bought 5.0, so we're going nowhere with some of the fixtures Villa have got coming up personally. Would I hold Vissa? Vissa wouldn't have been going in for me on wildcard. I'd just go early on João Pedro, I think. Yeah, get it next 2, but I mean, João Pedro better next week anyway. So, yeah, I'd be chancing João Pedro on wildcard personally. FPL Ebro says, hey James, good luck this game. On wildcard, would you prefer Colwell and Cunha or Konate and Raul Jimenez? Colwell and Cunha, mate. Louis says, Ramsdale, Trent, Brennan to Sarr, Kirkis, Palmer from -4. It's at -4 for a Wolves keeper who might not even start. No, don't do that, mate. Your name, please. Would you drop Garnacho, Vissa or Semenyo? And a help appreciated. Garnacho, mate. Chris O'Connor, how are you feeling about Ange these days? Loving but Brett and Spurs will finish 6th. Yeah, that's probably roughly where I think we'll finish as well at this moment, mate. But if there's a Europa League with that, I'll take that right now, mate. Joe Lolly says, bench 1 of Boomo, Rodgers, Smith Rowe. Rodgers, Lassie Mirrell says, thoughts on dropping Liverpool completely from 13 to 16, even 18. Wild card in 13. Keeping Haaland is the plan. Triple Arsenal defence. Take a brave person to move Salah to Saka next week, for example. Yeah, like, I'm happy just to go with Mo for the time being and then come back and revisit is my take on Liverpool at the moment. Jack Roch says, stuck here with Rico, Ruben, Greaves, Robertson and Porro with 1 free transfer. Where do we go? Lewis is just going to be a continual pain in the arse for you, mate. Ruben, is that Ruben Diaz? You need Arsenal, mate. If you can get Ruben Diaz to Arsenal, I'd be doing that, mate. Vicky Maddox says, hi James, somehow I have a front line of Cunha, Mateta and DCL. Who would you bench this week or bench Rodgers? Mateta versus Rodgers. No Consa. I think I'd bench Rodgers, you know. Steve C says, start 8 Norrie of Vandenberg, 8 Norrie. Moth Troll says, hi. Again, patrons, if we've got any information coming in, do drop us a share. Would be very much appreciated if we've got any reliable team news dropping in. We are circa 6 minutes from the Game Week 12 deadline, guys. Be beginning to think about getting those teams locked in. Steve C. Hi, James. Which defence has been weakened more for this week? Injuries, Spurs or Southampton? Southampton, because they've lost 2 players. Tottenham have lost 1. Mickey van der Ven was out anyway. Nasty Biscuit Box. Should I play Wood or Solanke? I'd play Dom. Devon Keys says, hi James. Hello Liam H. Would you start Solanke or Kulusevski? Benching dilemma. Solanke. Jan Me says, hey James. Hope all is well. Can you push me over the edge to also do Solanke to Isak from -4 like you did? I want to do it but not sure I should. You already know what the answer to this question is. I've done it. So Kim on Good says, does Saka start or sell for Bruno? I don't know, but I'm predicting him to start. Ben Scott says, hi James, would you go Bernardo or Johnson? Not sure Silva starts. I do think Bernardo Silva would start today, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, if that's a choice between who to start for FPL, I think you are starting Brennan Johnson. Mustafa's Gaming says, good morning James, weekly reminder, I don't own Salah or Haaland, buying this out and making him captain. Smash the like, lads, have a great weekend. You too. Devon Keys says, hi James, DCL and Solanke to Pedro and Isak for -4. I would, if you don't need to go Pedro, don't. If you can just do Solanke to Isak, do that. If you need to do Pedro to make Isak happening, then yes, do it. Fatcrow, wildcard draft. I did that on Wednesday's Clayton and James show. You can have a look there. It won't have changed much. Aish says, if DCL scores, I might quit FPL. Raplo says, McNeil versus Dallo. McNeil. I can't read your name, but I'd play Raul Jimenez. Jack Wellen says, hi mate, do you think there's a good chance Sells outscores Flecken today? Yes, Sells is playing Arsenal way, but Flecken is Flecken. No, look, under that circumstance, I would play Flecken. But yes, is there a chance? Of course there is. JD914 says, morning James, start Wood against my keeper or Johnson against City. Under that circumstance, Johnson. But it's close. Coin flip. MVS says, good morning. Great stream as always. Play Brennan or Wood. Literally just done that. Canosian says, bench 1 OGs. Yep. Mind you, I've got Wood above Johnson on a bench in dilemma. So if you don't have Arsenal defence, I would play Chris Wood. Or you said you've got double Arsenal. Yeah, I play Johnson, mate. Canojan says, bench 1 of Pedro, Semenyo, Jimenez, Pedro. Bradders says, morning James, would you have Palmer high up the captaincy ranking if he wasn't playing in the 12:30 kickoff, or does that sort of superstition not play into your thinking? I couldn't give a shit about it, mate. It makes no difference to me. Magic Ian says, sorry for asking what may be obvious to some, but are the ticks for who you would pick on the bench, or are they for who would you choose to play on the bench in dilemmas? They are who I would choose to play. So bench your dilemmas, who to start, and then they run in order left to right. That might have been a clue in the first instance as well. 9Tank7 says, start Foden or Cunha. If I had Foden, I'd be playing him. Martin says, be brave with 8. No, where have you gone on my questions? I'm literally reading it and you disappeared. Martin, be brave with 8 Nori or boring with Pau Torres. Boring. Magic Ian says, anybody? Yeah, Ian, I've done it, mate. Devon Keys, hi James, new watcher of the show, enjoy the insightful content. Thank you, Devon, have a great weekend. Fancy Fluker says, hi James, I have 2 free transfers left, would you go Solanke to Isak? Yes. FPL Bruno 18, morning Jimmy, hope you're well. Visser on wildcard or sell. Patrick Scott, hi mate, start 1 of Bumo, Cunha, Hall. Bumo, Nihar says, hi James, on wildcard, Hall and Saka or Saliba and Bruno, Hall and Saka. Mind you, if you've got no Arsenal defence, then I would prioritise that. Hammer says, start 2 of Mikalenko, Lewis, Ray and 8 Nori. I would bench Lewis. Shane Roberts, Rogers or Cunha, Grant, Shadowman, morning James, bench Johnson or Strand Larson. Johnson, Mr. Meerkat Monster, morning mate, move Johnson to Saka or Bruno, Saka. Sam Salah, morning James, bench Solanke or Wood. Paul Clark, play Cunha or 8 Nori, Cunha, KD. Estupinan or Van Heck. I think Estupinan is too dangerous for an investment now. Why so low on Rodgers when comparing to others? I'm curious because I'm going to start him ahead of Cunha. Cunha is a talisman. There's your answer. Harry Perbick says, morning James, apologies if already covered. Start Solanke or Semenyo. Ross Beatty says, morning James, should I sell Son to Saka or Son to Bruno Fernandes and Wood to Isak from -4? Son to Saka, take the -4. Just a dad posting stuff on Wildcard. Saka or 2-week punt on Bruno. Saka. Alex Piri, hey mate, what would you do with Luis Diaz? Thinking Gordon but worried about Barnes' rotation. Yeah, play Gordon, mate. Buy Gordon. Hillbilly says Solanke to Isak, Lewis to Hall, Muric to Raya, -4. Hit for a keeper and a defender. Would you do it? No. No, you don't need to do Muric to Raya. No, hit for a goalkeeper, never, mate. You don't need to do that. So Isak and Hall for free. Move on. Quabena says, will you do Saka to Palmer for a hit? No. I'm sure I've answered that, mate. And will you do? You know that I don't. Richie says, on a wild card, Raya, Cunha or Jackson for Bruggham. Preferences with Raya. Maxim says, morning James, thanks for the content, love it. Having massive FOMO over Palmer and doubts over Saka's minutes. Should I take a -4? I'm going to say no, mate. No information on team news as far as I can see that is reliable. I'm going to go to the end of the chat just in case anyone has anything. It doesn't look like it, and I believe we have hit 11 a.m. and your deadline for game week 12 has passed. I wish you all the very best of luck. I hope your arrows are green over this weekend. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Support the show because you want the additional content or because you want to support the show. I can tell you the freely available content next week will be Game Review podcast Monday. Clash of Correspondence is probably going to be Tuesday. Manchester United versus Everton with Gary Robinson and Sean Norton. Clayton and James Wednesday. People's Poll Thursday. Ask James Friday. That's probably the schedule, but I might jiggle it around because it is a Friday deadline. Therefore, if there is an Ask James stream on Friday, it will be early, about 10 a.m. in the morning. Deadline stream on Friday will be obviously available to you as per usual. That will be a 5:30 p.m. UK start time. Brighton versus Southampton is the Friday night football this week. I will not be sticking around for a Q&A today, unfortunately, guys. Because I am heading off to Manchester and intend to be getting off a train there in just over 4 hours. I wish you all a great weekend. Smash a like, hit the sub button. See you for the Game Review podcast on Monday. Good luck, everyone.